Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about just some stuff that's going on in America today, and some stuff that's being said, and just kind of a broad topic video today. I'm going to touch on several different things, but I keep seeing one thing online, and it's about these tariffs that Trump plans on putting on these other countries if they don't, if they don't act right, basically. Um, and in my opinion, he's right. And these tariffs, just like everything else, I said it in an earlier video. These things that Trump wants to do, if they turn out to be good for America, which is by no means certain at this point, he's going to try, and we'll just have to see. But some of these things sound good to me, and these tariffs are one of them. Now, these countries, these other countries, are blatantly ripping off America. They're stealing from us. They're stealing. I don't know how much of our money, of our tax money, goes to other countries, and there's no reason for it. What's the point? Why are we supporting the rest of the world financially? And one thing I see a lot is that it's a meme that says, y'all haven't Googled the word tariff, and it shows, because we voted for Trump, so we don't understand what the word tariff is. And the poster of this meme, anybody who's sharing this meme around and shit, they obviously don't know what tariff means. A tariff is a tax on imported or exported goods. It's a tax on another country. It's the same thing as taxes on us. And that's how the United States of America, how the government used to make its money before income tax. They made its money on tariffs. That's how they supported themselves. That's how the government ran, strictly on tariffs. Well, maybe not strictly, but the biggest part of their funding came from tariffs. Because if they wanted to sell their goods to Americans, they had to pay a price. And that's fair. Now, what will happen? Because they completely got rid of all those tariffs and they just started taxing us American citizens. Okay? And to me, that is just disgusting. It's horrible. Why the hell would you give the rest of the world a free ride and start taxing your own citizens? But that was done a long time ago, so why the American people laid down for that shit, I have no idea. They should have bucked against it, but they didn't. So here we are. I wasn't alive when it happened, so I don't know the details of it. So what'll happen if he imposes these tariffs on, say, China? All right. Now, another popular meme is saying that you realize that China's not going to pay the tariffs. All right. Number one, the poster of that meme doesn't know that. They don't know what the hell China's going to do any more than I do. But using common sense, I can, and about 5 minutes of research, I can pretty much make a solid guess as to what China might do. They're going to pay the tariffs, in my opinion. I looked it up. America is their number one purchaser of their goods. They export the most of their goods to America. The number one purchaser of their goods. We consume more of their goods than any other country. So for them to just stop sending stuff to America, that would collapse their economy. They're going to pay the tariffs, or they're going to do what Trump is asking them to do. Those are their two options. Not paying the tariffs is not an option, in my opinion. And that is my opinion. They might have, I don't know, some little country somewhere jump up and take America's place. I don't think it's going to happen, but it could, I guess. But they don't really have much of a choice. They're going to pay the tariffs if Trump puts his foot down and says, you're going to pay the tariffs, or I'm going to turn these boats around and send them back to you. They're going to pay the tariffs. Or they're going to do whatever slimy, they're going to stop doing whatever slimy thing that they're doing that Trump wants them to stop doing. The same thing with the rest of these countries. Trump went in there and told them that they need to start paying their fair share into the UN because they don't pay their dues. America's footing the bill for the entire world. We're the police and the army for the entire world. Our tax dollars. We think our tax dollars are going to, to pay all these things in America. They're not. They're going to over there to build tanks to be sent overseas. They're going to do these psyops. They spend hundreds of millions of dollars to convince people in other countries that their government is horrible and they need to overturn their government. They do all kind. Our money is not spent here in America. The vast majority of it. Our infrastructure is falling apart. Our bridges collapse. All this stuff, but we're sending all our money overseas. It's just time for that to stop. We all know it's ridiculous. We all know, even the people posting these dumbass memes know it's ridiculous. How can you support that shit? As a thinking human being, how can you support that shit? But another thing is that when something, any kind of organism, organization, anything, when something is restructured, fixed, when it's healed from damage, there is pain. It's not going to be a walk in the park. Trump's not going to kick the door in and let the sun shine on us and so we can watch the flowers grow and our pockets are just going to magically get fat with money and all this. That's not going to happen. There's going to be pain first. Some of these countries might buck, some of these smaller countries. What's going to happen if he does impose the tariffs? That means that China's going to have to pay the tariffs and they're going to have to raise the prices of their goods. Which is what should be. That's how it should be. This cheap Chinese shit should not be so underpriced that American goods are just, they can't compete. Fruit, food, all this shit. All this poison in our food and all this stuff coming from overseas. All of these pharmaceuticals that are manufactured overseas. How are our pharmaceuticals manufactured in a communist country that hate us? How is that legal? How is that possible? This stuff should be manufactured at home by Americans who love America, who don't want to see addiction and death running through our country. And that just, to me, that's just flat common sense. But when a small handful of politicians get paid, tens of millions of dollars to push this bill through that allows that to happen so that this pharmaceutical company can shift their manufacturing over to China, and then over the next 10 years the pharmaceutical company makes hundreds of billions of dollars off of that, the savings. Well, you see how it happens. You see why it happens. Follow the money, follow the greed. And that's what we need to stop. All this lobbying is just, it's evil. It should be illegal. And it's improper. It's immoral. You should not be able to buy politicians, period. You should not be able to buy regulations and laws and votes in the House and Congress. You should not be able to, period. But these huge corporations can outvote us and push these laws and regulations through that just decimate the American people. And we don't have anything to say about it because we don't, each individual, we don't have the money to combat it. We don't have the money to fight against it. But Trump can. Now we've put Trump in the position where he can combat that shit. He can bring that stuff back home. He can incentivize manufacturing being done in America. But it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy for him, and it's not going to be easy for us. Prices are going to go up. All these people around here, since Trump got out of office and Biden took control, prices have shot up on everything. And that's okay. We'll accept that. We'll bow our heads and take that on the chin. But heaven forbid we spend a little more to buy American and to save our country and to give another countryman a job to strengthen the foundation of our home. Now we can't do that. That's too much trouble. That's too expensive. We eat their poison. We overpay for their gasoline. All this shit. All these billionaires are controlling all this shit from every direction because we allow them to, because we support them. Every dollar we give them is a dollar of control that they have over us. We're voting for them, saying, what you're doing is okay. We agree with it. Keep it up. Send more jobs overseas. Pay more money for overseas governments, for overseas wars. Send all our money overseas. We love opioid epidemics. We love censorship. So we need to pay attention to where we're spending our money and which company deserves it. There are a lot of good people out there who are doing a lot of good things with their businesses. They're trying really hard to make America great again. They're trying really hard to support the people around them, their communities, by creating jobs. But they need our support, plain and simple, even if they're a little more expensive. We go on to that from creating jobs and stuff. Now, here's the thing I got about the left, this woke left shit. Now, a woman can create a business and announce to the world, print it in the New York Times, splash it all over Google, that she is going to only hire people who belong to these marginalized groups, right? That's all she's going to hire. She's not going to hire straight men at all. She's not going to do it. And she will be applauded. She will be raised up, and I've seen it happen. I've seen that exact same thing happen. Now, but if a straight man did that, just flip the coin over. Same thing. A straight man did that, I'm going to hire nothing but straight men. He'd go to jail. He'd be sued. He probably wouldn't go to jail. He'd be sued. He'd be blasted as a bigot, because they wouldn't, because when you think about it, when you reverse it, they flip the coin over. Now, when the woman says, I'm only going to hire marginalized people, you think about the marginalized people. She's including marginalized people. You don't think about it, oh, she's excluding all the straight guys. Now, when you flip the coin over, people see it as exclusion. Oh, I'm excluding all of the marginalized people. I'm not including all the straight guys, right? The whole psychology is reversed. It goes from inclusion to exclusion, but it's the exact same thing. The exact same thing. So, yeah, that really gets under my skin when I hear all this stuff about equality and stuff, because a certain group of people can be completely exclude a vast majority of the population, but they're considered inclusive. And all of the actually inclusive people who will just hire the best person for the job, they're considered exclusive because the best person for the job may not be somebody in one of those marginalized groups. And I've never heard a success story where it's just these marginalized groups have become ultra successful. It's always somebody who's willing to put in the time and make sure that the best people are in there doing the job, regardless of and that is inclusion, regardless of their race, their sex, their religion, whatever, just the best person for the job. So, yeah, that gets under my skin because the logic is completely reversed and it cuts out the best people for whatever position, whatever you're looking at. You cut out the best people and only pick people on these arbitrary things that they can't change. They can't, I can't try harder to be an Eskimo, and you know what I mean? I can't do that. So because I was just born not an Eskimo. You can't pick people based on those kind of criteria. And we got all of these drones flying around New Jersey and stuff now. Nobody seems to know where they're coming from. Nobody seems to know who's controlling them. And again, the conspiracy theories are flying. Last week, we had the CEO shooting. This week, we've got these drones flying around. And everybody's wondering what the hell's going on. Now, that guy from the CEO shooting, Luigi, whatever his name is, the guy that they're the person of interest or whatever he is, he's going to be forgotten. Nobody's going to remember who the hell he was or what he did here in a couple more weeks. But that's how it is now. Now we've got these drones. Now, why? It just makes me wonder why we can't just have a few months of normality. Why is it with all this stuff constantly bringing up, constantly coming up, and making us wonder what's really happening? And all these conspiracy theories abound. Now, one thing I see is a lot of people share this kind of crap because they get clicks. They're chasing clicks. And when you're doing this kind of thing, there is a temptation for that. You want the clicks. But if you're interested in the truth and you're interested in what the hell is actually happening to our country, then that's not what you want to do. That's not how you want to go about it, chasing clicks. So all this stuff, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know who's doing it. Don't know why they're doing it. Don't know what the thing that is confusing to me is how our government doesn't know who's doing it, why it's being done. Or if they do know, they're not telling us. And there's so much that our government knows that they don't tell us. And that's another thing that needs to be fixed during this administration. There are so many high priority things that need to be restructured in the government that it's hard to say which one's the most important. But transparency of government has to be up there in the top 3. Just make the shit transparent. Because if you make the shit transparent, then a lot of other stuff will just be fixed by as a consequence of that. They can't do a bunch of shady shit behind the curtain if the curtain's drawn back and you're watching them. That needs to be high priority. Pass laws to where you can't classify shit unless it is dire, highly dangerous weapons and stuff like that are being manufactured or something, or being invented or whatever. You can't just classify information on an event, say. You know, if you come up with a new airplane that does crazy shit that you don't want the Chinese to be able to copy, I get it, classify it. I'm not saying don't classify that stuff. What I'm saying is don't classify shit about drones and, you know, what's happening with the drones. Don't classify shit that's happening in underground bases and all this stuff that's being, if something's happening in Area 51, they could tell us the broad topic of it. Yeah, we got a alien ship under there, and we're trying to figure out what the hell it is. You're not allowed in here because, you know, we don't want the Chinese to find out. If that's the case, why don't they just tell us that? Whatever it is. Why don't they just tell us that much of it? They could. They could give us a general idea of what's happening and then tell us the rest of it's secret, but they don't. They keep it all under, which makes us think that it's shady, it's bad, because it probably is. Because it's probably nothing like that. It's probably nothing like to do with aliens. It's something altogether completely different, and they want us to think it's alien, so they don't know what they're really up to. That's my theory on it. But we need to pay attention to this kind of stuff and expect things to get worse before they get better. All right. Number one, like I said, there needs to be healing. It's got to be a rough spot. Number two, the deep state, the government, is going to fight Trump every step of the way and make it seem as if he's doing a horrible job and hurting the country. They don't want us to elect another Trump next term. So they've got to make him look like a bad guy, look like he's hurting the country. So they're going to do all kinds of stuff behind the scenes, in the shadows, to hurt the country, to make it appear like it's Trump and his decisions that are doing it. Period. So we can't expect that. But if we weather the storm, and we've all been through hardship, we've all been through recession and all this stuff, war, everything, weather the storm, we can come out okay on the other end. But if we all jump ship and jump out in the water, the sharks are going to eat us. And I'll leave you there with that. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, I'll leave that link down in the description, or you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate it. You can also have it over to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and Buy Me a Cup of Coffee. I appreciate that as well, and I'll put that link down in the description too. If you're interested in Gen X gear, we have some pretty cool stuff over at Redbubble. T-shirts, coffee mugs, stickers, all kinds of cool stuff like that. Gen X Thinks and Gen X branded stuff. And I'll put that link down in the description as well. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. I sincerely appreciate that. Thank you very much. It helps out a lot. If you have an idea for a future episode of Gen X Thinks, please put that down in the comments, or you can have it over to the channel page and email us from there. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.